Right, it's another day, and I think what I'm going to try and do is just take this first barrel off and see if I can raise the height a couple more inches and see if it improves the flow. Bit of a nuisance because some of the pipes are going to have to be cut. I'm going to have to do new pipes, including the one from barrel to barrel and the drain, and something I'm going to have to do something with the inlet. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to get that to work at the moment, so we shall see. We'll take it apart and see if it's doable before moving forward. Right, I'm raising up the platform by using the offcuts that I've got from the concrete base. So by adding these and this wood from the leftovers from the back wall, it now raises it to 5 inches. So this barrel will be 5 inches higher than that barrel. So I've gone up 1.5 inches. That's the most I can go up without drastically changing the inlet from the pond to the filters. So I'm going to go over and paint the slats and then screw it down, screw the top boards to the slats, and then come back to you once I've got it back into place. I've had to cut the valve because that was solvent welded in, but that's the only cut I've had to make. So I just need to get a 1.5 inch joiner, join that back up, and that's all I've had to do this end. And the only other thing I'm going to have to do is chop the height of that. I've got to lower that because where the barrel's gone up, the inlet is tilted down a little bit. So we'll give that a go. I'll get that painted, screwed up, and then I'll come back to you once I've got it all fitted. Right, so the system is now back together. First barrel is now 5 inches higher than the second, so the angle has obviously made the flow, it should go down a bit quicker. The only issue it's made, it's not really an issue, but the angle of the inlet pipe is more at an angle now, just because of the way, obviously, where the hole was drilled for this when it was a bit lower, but I haven't had to adjust the hole in there, and it's also still working. I haven't had to cut the inlet pipe to the pump, so I'm going to turn it on now, and that valve's good. Just going to see what it does now. I'll let it fill up and then I'll come back to you, because it's got to fill up the other barrel as well, because it's mainly drained and I had to do the change the pipe over. So I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, so this has been running now for about 10 minutes, and that is the water height at 100%. So this one's crept up as well a little bit, but that's still safe to me. So that's 100%, and yesterday's that was that height was at 60%. So that has improved a lot. So I'm just going to drop it down to 70%, and that'll be the last test to see and to confirm that the fix on this was to raise the barrel to increase the angle from barrel 1 to 2. So I'll come back in 10 minutes when I run it at 70%. Right, so this is at 70%, on the 12,000 vari pump. Much better. This was probably the height yesterday at 50% of the pump, so that's helped a lot. I'm going to do 2 more tests. I'm going to run this at 50% just to see what it does, and then I'm going to take the 2 outlet manifold off and just put on the 1 and run it at 70% and just see what it does, and then I'm going to call it a day, because I know now that at 70% at this setup, that's good for me. I like that. It's a nice safe level. So I'm going to run it at 50%. I'll come back to you, change the manifold and run 1 more test, and then call that fixed. Right, there we go, 50%. So loads better, miles different. So I'm going to turn it off, take this twin off, put 1 on, go to 70, just see what it does really, but I'm happy with how this is. I'll run it 60-70% like that, no problem. So yeah, come back in a sec for the last test. Right, so at 70%, that's where we're at. Spot on really. For me, that's where I want it to be. I'll have to go back and check the footage, I can't remember, but having 1 outlet is either equal or better than having the 2. So not quite sure on that one again, but to me that's good enough. So happy with that. I'm glad I decided to actually take the time and extend the height of that frame. So yes, bit of a better day today. So I'll leave it there on this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry it was dragged out a bit, but I think it should show the highs and the lows and not everything always going correct. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one. I thought I'd just add as well that this could have all been prevented if I'd actually read and studied the instructions more, because that would have helped save a lot of time. So I don't know why I didn't do that. I don't know why I didn't have it at 6 inches higher. It's still not 6 inches higher than the other barrel, it's 5, but that is good enough for me now. It probably would also get better if it was 2.5 or 3 inch pipe work, but I'm not going to change it. That's all good. So, but note to myself, read the instructions before you go on and build something.